During the last 5 years, I've ridden a lot of bikes. Some little bikes, some big bikes, some really big bikes. As far as bike brands go, I'm not monotheistical about a god of all brands. But I do have my favorites from certain manufacturers, and they run the gambit from small to large bikes. But while riding some of the bigger bikes that I've owned lately, I just felt, meh, this ain't much fun. Not because the bikes aren't capable or they're poorly built. It's more that my definition of adventure has shifted over the last few years, more akin to what I was feeling when I took my Route 66 trip. I'm moving away from ginormous adventure and touring bikes and shifting my focus more on smaller bikes, and intentionally choosing to ride bikes that some would deem uncool for a veteran rider like myself to ride. Or worse, unroadworthy. You follow this channel for a bit, that definition, it's not gonna work here. Some may say I'm crazy, especially those who are really into their adventure bikes right now, or you bagger riders who are super into that long distance travel on those baggers. But if the comments on many of the videos in this channel are any indication, there are at least a few of you out there that are with me on this. Let's get into the reasons why. Stick around to the end of this video because what I actually say about adventure bikes near the end might surprise you. All right, to talk about why I'm switching from big bikes to little bikes, let's get on a little bike. Honda CRF Rally. Here's why you should put your cover on. And actually I have a really good Delco cover, but I forgot. Well, I got lazy last night and didn't put it on. If you're interested in a Delco cover, I've got a link in the description for some, I believe 15% off. Really good covers. I left this bike sit for 3 months. Didn't do anything to it. She started right up. It's rock and roll. I'm barely going 20 miles an hour and I'm already smiling. Alright guys, number one reason why I am switching to smaller bikes, or being a little bit more exclusive with smaller bikes, is the expense. That's the elephant in the room, right? These ginormous bikes are ridiculously expensive. You know, when you buy them, you know they're $20,000 to $25,000 for some of the bigger ones. And you add stuff onto it. You add some panniers and racks and all kinds of other farkles. You're looking at $30,000 for some of these big bikes. Like that's on the extreme. Especially now with some of these big bikes getting some really outrageous features like adaptive cruise control. I don't like adaptive cruise control in a car. I don't know very many people who do. Like, you want control of that car, not some computer to tell you, oh, you better slow down, that car in front of you's too close. In theory, it sounds good, but it's not. It's just not fun not to have control over a car or a motorcycle. Let's go this way. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to pay for something like adaptive cruise control. So the prices of these bikes are just crazy. And most of these humongous bikes, they come with street tires. Africa Twin came with street tires. Pan America came with street tires. All the big BMWs, they come with street tires. You want to go off-road at all, you're looking at, you know, paying another $300 to $500 just to have appropriate tires for going off-road. I bought this bike for just around $5,000, and with the cost of some of the bigger bikes in stock, you know, I can buy four of these. For the Pan America that I had, I could buy nearly 5 of these for everything that I had on it. Of course, that was the used price, but this is around $6,000. So around 3 of these. Man, it feels good to be on a bike. It's a hot day today, but man, this feels good. All right, we've established the obvious. The bigger the bike, the more expensive it's likely to be. But what about the important stuff like riding environment and rider skill? Do you really need 1,000 horsepower? Especially off-road. So here's a scenario. You're climbing a hill on your bike. You're 3/4 of the way up that hill. And this isn't just like, you know, any normal hill. It's got loose rocks, loose soil, earthworm poop, the whole 9 yards slipping you up. Traction is limited. You get 3/4 up and your bike stalls for whatever reason. You drop the clutch, or worse, you drop the bike, which is common going uphill like that. What would you rather have to get up that last 25%? Would you rather have a 550-pound behemoth with 100 horsepower or a 350-pound motorcycle with 26 horsepower to get you up that last 25%? For me, I'm gonna pick up the lighter bike if it fell, and I'm gonna get up that hill easily with 26 horsepower and 350 pounds. Now sure, some of these large adventure bikes, a lot of them these days, especially the more expensive ones, have rider aids to cut power, to improve traction, which is nice. I mean, it's super nice. But that kind of tells me that maybe off-road, you don't need all that power. Loose gravel. Let's see, which way should I go? Spring Rose? Let's go up Spring Rose. I love the driftless region in Wisconsin. Bucolic farmlands and twisty roads and plenty of hills. Love it. Especially on a smaller bike that I have confidence in controlling. As I was saying, sure, all these big bikes, they have these rider aids, but that kind of tells you that maybe the power should be cut on some off-road. That goes back to expense. These rider aids, these rider modes, they make the bikes more expensive. Why not just start with what you need? Yeah. So, you may have noticed that my turn signal has remained on. I'm not entirely used to turn signals that don't auto-cancel. You know what solves that issue though? If you hit the like button, that turn signal turns off. So hit that like button so that turn signal turns off. So adventure bikes aren't the best bikes for off-road. But what about all those marketing videos showcasing adventure bikes riding in the desert or riding off-road? So it sounds like I'm ripping on adventure bikes, and I am a little bit. I think the expense for me is an important one at this stage of my life. I've had some life changes that have forced me to cut costs dramatically. So expense is an important one, and use case is really important, as I described in that scenario. But with that said, I don't want to make it seem like I hate adventure bikes. I've owned 2 of them. Well, 3 of them if you consider this an adventure bike. Some do, some don't. Ginormous adventure bikes need to be used where they're intended to be used with your skill set. Unless you're Chris Birch, you are not going to be riding an adventure bike very far on technical off-road sections, right? you're not going to be doing one of the more challenging BDRs on a big adventure bike without a lot of training before you get there. What an adventure bike is great for, traveling long distance on the interstate, go from point A to point B super fast. And that can be fun sometimes. It gets old after a while for me. Also where it's great is riding gravel, riding the Dalton Highway, passing by big old grizzlies, riding those sections of gravel on that road, passing by grizzlies. But to be honest, if you're riding some single track, some technical sections of the BDRs, the maybe not so well-known TWAT, the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail, which I'll be doing soon on this bike, you are not going to be riding a bike as big and heavy as a grizzly bear. These bikes, these smaller bikes, are much easier to ride off-road, obviously, for obvious reasons. 200 to 250 pounds lighter in most cases. Easy to whip around, flick around, maneuver. I mean, you can just see me riding on the road here. I'm just puttering around. I'm having a great freaking time. I don't need 100 horsepower to play in the driftless region. Of course, I'm not really being very aggressive right now. So on the interstate, this bike will do it. I've been on the interstate before, going 70 miles an hour. It's pushing this bike's engine to the extreme for sure. But that realm, that's more the big adventure bikes. So yeah, clearly you could see this bike, it can do it on these roads. And I'm at what, about a little over 5,000 RPMs, 520, 5,200-ish, 5,100. But it definitely could do it. I could even go faster. I could go 75 on this thing. This engine can handle it. Don't get me wrong, I still love big adventure bikes. They have their place. But for me, for the adventure that I want right now, a lighter, smaller bike might be best. Little bike, just as much fun to ride as the big ones. So this last one, it's one that's most important to me, and it's personal. Like, this last one could be very different for you. It's how I want my adventures to look like. I love riding two-wheeled machines off-road, whether it be gravel bicycles or a motorcycle of any size. It's just that the technical stuff, the places that you need to really go off into the backcountry to get to the cool places, you can do it on a big adventure bike with the right skills and with a lot of practice. But man, when you're struggling to lift up that bike every time, when you're struggling to get through sections because the bike's too heavy, for me it stops becoming fun. Having a bike small enough that I can maneuver around, and if it really gets stuck after I drop it in the mud or whatever, and I can just yank it out, doink, right out by myself, that's way more fun. Way more fun. So the big question is, am I done with big adventure bikes? The answer is emphatically no. I still love big adventure bikes for their intended use. I will continue to love adventure bikes on long stretches of highway, on gravel roads, where they really make sense, and I'll enjoy the small bikes for the adventures that I want now. Off-road, challenging technical terrain. Thanks for watching, guys. Ride safe out there and keep your wheels rolling in the right direction. I'll see you in the next one.